Scrolling on social media. It seems like a minor thing that you do, but when done multiple times a day, every single day, it leads to a compound feeling of unfulfillment. At least that's what it's done for me. In the past 2 years that I've been on a self-discovery journey, I've been contemplating a lot on what's been making me feel unfulfilled. I've been having fluctuation of high mood, low mood. I've been overthinking, over worrying, and chasing ambitious goals that I'm not even sure if it's truly mine. There's probably a lot of factors, but I've noticed that being on social media, specifically Instagram, it has been the biggest culprit of this. So today I'd like to talk about how Instagram has been making you and I feel unfulfilled in today's digital age. And just a disclaimer, all of the things that I'm talking about comes from personal experiences and also a little bit of research. In no way I'm telling you that Instagram is bad for you or that you should stop doing it. This is just some personal story. And on that note, let's get into it. Comparison on its own is not a bad thing. In fact, there's a psychological phenomenon called the social comparison theory developed by a psychologist named Leon Festinger. And he tells us that social comparison theory is the idea that individuals determine their own social and personal worth based on how they stack up against others. Basically, we have this natural tendency to compare ourselves to other people, and that's just ingrained within us. And not only that, we also compare ourselves to people that are very similar to our trait. For instance, in my YouTube journey, I'm not really comparing myself to people like Matt Davella, Ali Abdaal, Peter McKinnon, because I don't relate to them. I don't deeply connect with them, but I do compare myself to people like Kelly Stams, Malama Life, Rowena Chai, and these are people that I kind of see myself more related to, and that's why I compare myself to them more than I would to other YouTubers out there. This isn't like we can stop it. It's literally ingrained in our genes or DNA as human beings to naturally want to compare ourselves to other people. And sometimes comparing myself to other people has positive effect on me because it inspires me to take action that I actually want to achieve my goals faster. But a lot of the times when I scroll too much on social media, it makes me feel jealous, envious, and it just kind of drains me that it makes me feel bad about myself. Comparing myself to others made me unintentionally copy other people. For instance, back in 2020 when I was learning how to be an Instagram coach, I took this online course and I was taught about these cookie cutter strategies on how to grow on Instagram. I was basically copying other people because that's what the instructor has told me to do. I didn't realize it then, but I didn't feel comfortable in doing them because it didn't feel like something I would do if I hadn't known about it. And that in reality just made me feel uncomfortable, and it felt like I wasn't true to myself because I was copying other people. And in the end, I stopped doing it because I realized that wasn't me. Comparing also led me to bad money habits. Before the pandemic, I used to go to about 5 to 6 trips per year, and I found myself spending on things that I wouldn't necessarily would, but I was doing it because I wanted to look cute on Instagram. I wanted to have new outfits every time I went on my trip because I didn't want other people to think that I was repeating my outfit. Obviously, I don't do that anymore, and looking back, how influenced I was by what I saw on social media, because again, I was seeing what other people were doing and I wanted to copy them. I wanted to go to these places and I wanted to look presentable or cute or match the vibe of the place that I was going, which in the end I realized that traveling or having the experience in the place is more important to me than what I was wearing. And lastly, comparing made me feel inadequate about myself in a lot of different ways. If you have been on social media like Instagram or TikTok lately, you know there's a whole movement or culture about quitting your 9-to-5 jobs, being an entrepreneur.
Hear me out. This and like that. That was my goal. 6 months later, since I started my business, that is me now. My goals back then and me right now.
And seeing this with Gen Zs or people who are the same at my age who are super successful, or at least they look super successful, it just made me feel like I'm not enough, that the thing that's happening in my life, you know, having a job, not having a business that I want made me feel like I was failing in life. That's something that I really didn't like. So I had this desire to just be like them. I wanted to quit my job. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted the 6-figure goal achieved, but in reality, it doesn't work that way. In reality, it takes 6 years. It takes skills and experience, and you can't just have everything overnight. So we all know how distracting social media is, but we just let it be. We know how bad it is, but we don't actively shut it down or do something about it. We tell ourselves just 5 more minutes, and by the time that we realize it, hours have passed by, and then we no longer have the time or energy to do the thing that we truly wanted to do. What you don't realize is that you have very limited energy throughout the day that you can do deep thinking or deep work. According to research, an average person only has 3 to 4 hours of productive hours in his or her day. So for example, when I wake up, I have a lot of energy, but when I scroll first thing in the morning, now my energy level is drained. So that 4 hours of window that I have for writing or doing other creative tasks, it would decrease to about 3 hours. And if I spend an hour or two scrolling on bed just before I start my day, then now I only have 2 hours. And I have fed my brain unnecessary information I didn't care about in the first place. So when you do this scrolling throughout the day, even if you just say for 5 minutes, you are draining your energy without even realizing it. And that's kind of where all the excuse of, oh my god, I don't have time to learn that new skill, I don't have the energy to do this thing that I've been wanting to do. So the simple act of scrolling in your day-to-day robs you of the energy that you could be spending somewhere else that would truly fulfill you in life. So let's try a little thought experiment. Pick something that you've been wanting to do, whether that's, an experience, a goal, something materialistic, a new phone, a house, a car, and think about where that want came from. Think about what you were doing, what did you see, where did you hear it? Ask yourself, how did this want come to you? I bet you it was because someone you know or someone that you know of want that thing that you want now, even though you didn't have that desire in the first place. So that's called mimetic desire. It is a term coined by Luke Burgess, and it's a tendency to want things just because of the meaning associated with them. So the simplest example that I can think of is if I'm going shopping with a friend and she says, oh, that bag looks cute, and now suddenly, oh, this friend that I respect and I think that has a great taste thinks that bag is cute, so now I want that bag, even though initially I didn't have the desire to want that bag, or I didn't have desire for buying a bag in the first place. So that is the simplest explanation of what mimetic desire is. And being on Instagram, on social media, we are constantly fed by desires that aren't us, but it's because we're following people that we care about. We know that we want to almost prove ourselves to. Seeing their experiences or the materialistic things that they have makes us want whatever they have, and we barely ask ourselves, why do I want this? Where is this want coming from? Do I really want this thing that I'm wanting? By being unaware of this mimetic desire, we constantly chase goals. We constantly chase wants and desires that don't necessarily fulfill us, but only we chase it because we've seen other people around us do it. So this constant desires and wants lead us to feeling unfulfilled because we keep chasing goals and wants and desires that when we get there, we're not fully fulfilled because we haven't really asked ourselves why we want this desire, why we want this thing that we are thinking of. If you didn't know, there's a lot of people who have been sharing their personal stories about quitting social media, about digital detox, and I myself have done this too. I wrote an article that said I reclaimed my time and energy by quitting Instagram. So I did this back in 2020, and now I'm currently in the middle of one too. So I've just been focusing on YouTube and my newsletter and my blog and really kind of grounding myself. When I did a digital detox for 4 months in 2020, me. I felt the benefits after 2 weeks. The creepiest thing happened initially is that I would pick up my phone, I would go to where Instagram is, and it wouldn't be there. I just had that habit of going on Instagram whenever I felt bored. So then after a while, my brain kind of understood that, hey, there's no Instagram app there, so you should stop checking and you should stop going in it. That's kind of how it made me realize. I was like, oh my god, I am addicted to Instagram. I don't even think about it, I just do it. So when I stopped doing that, what happened was that I actually had more time to reflect and think, and time. I had a lot of time. At this time, I wasn't writing. I would ask myself every day, what would be fun to do right now? What would be fun to learn right now? And I developed these healthy habits of doing yoga every day, of writing every day, being more mindful of my health, going for a walk every day, going to the gym. I had so much time to do the things that I truly wanted to do. I wanted to improve on myself, but having that little app that whenever I'm bored, I just scroll for 2 minutes, it really compounded to procrastinating and being demotivated in my day-to-day life. But now that I didn't have it, I actually saw the benefits. So just for that 4 months, I learned how to actually listen to myself. I started reading more. I started learning about things that I actually wanted to learn about. I discovered my passion for writing. I gained more self-esteem, and I did things because I love to do them, not because I wanted to show them off on social media. I think that was the hardest part, is that, oh my god, I want to show this on social media, this really cool thing that's happening right now, but I couldn't. I said that, why do I need to show to other people what I'm doing if I'm enjoying it myself? So that was a really eye-opening experience for me. The second thing that you can do is to unfollow people that no longer serve you. If digital detox isn't an option for you, you can at least curate your feed to something that inspires you instead of something that kind of destroys you. So you can start following accounts that you care about, that will inspire you to improve your life, your financial habits, or anything else that you're working on in your current life, and unfollow the people that aren't serving you. I have one simple rule when it comes to following someone on social media. If I don't want to know about this person, I'm not going to follow them. So by following accounts that inspires you, you can choose what kind of information comes into your mind, which ultimately affects the energy or how you show up in life. So if you want to be inspired, follow people that inspires you. And if you want to not have a good experience in life, then follow the people that makes you feel bad about yourself or makes you feel envious. And another tip, if you have close friends that you don't want to offend, you can actually mute them on social media. So I do this a lot for my close friends, where I don't necessarily want to scroll and see what's happening, but I want to see their stories. I want to follow their day-to-day lives. So then I would mute their posts but not their stories. It works if you don't want to offend close friends, or you want to follow family members and see what's going on in their lives. Thirdly, give the app a purpose and reassess every 3 months. This is still something that I'm personally working on. I've been using Instagram as my photo diary since I've had it, and lately I've been trying to experiment how I can combine my interests with travel, writing, personal development all in one. And I came up with this plan of using my travel photos as a background and then showcase my writing. But to be honest, it's been a lot of work, and I did it for 2 months. I'm not doing it for this month, which is the 3rd month. So now I have to reassess what Instagram is going to be for me. At the end of the day, even though it is a platform that I'm borrowing, I do want to use it in a way that I enjoy, so that I can kind of create consistently. And that's an approach that I can recommend, so that instead of working it against you, you can make it work for you. Being unfulfilled is something that a lot of us are going to go through. And I'm not saying that Instagram is the only reason, but when majority of our time is spent on scrolling on social media or Instagram, it has a lot of control over us. And we don't have the time to carve the time to reflect on the things we truly care about. It's a small habit that leads to negative compounding effect, which is unfulfillment. At least that's what happened for me.